I have been thinking about something lately. Almost every video about YouTube seems to answer the same question. How do you get more views? More subscribers? More watch time? More money? And to be fair, those are perfectly reasonable questions. If you are trying to build a business, they matter. If you dream of making a living from your videos, they matter even more. I have nothing against success. In fact, if one of my videos suddenly reached 1 million people, I would probably celebrate for quite a while. But somewhere along the way, I started wondering whether we have quietly forgotten to ask another question. What if making videos is valuable even when almost nobody watches them? That may sound like something people say to comfort themselves after disappointing statistics. Perhaps sometimes it is. But I don't think that is the whole story. Making videos has a strange side effect. It forces me to meet myself. Not the version I imagine I am. The version everyone else sees. When I watch myself speaking, I notice things I don't normally notice. I interrupt my own thoughts. I rush important sentences. Sometimes I explain too much. Other times I assume everyone already understands what I mean. It is surprisingly uncomfortable. At least it is for me. Then comes the editing. I cannot argue with a recording. I can only watch it. Again and again. Until I finally admit that I need to improve. Sometimes it's hard to admit. I rewrite sentences and remove unnecessary words. I change the order of ideas. I try to explain difficult thoughts a little more clearly than the last time. Not because the algorithm demands it, because I want to become better at thinking. Who wouldn't? People often say that making YouTube videos teaches communication skills. I think it teaches something slightly different. It teaches intellectual honesty. You quickly discover which opinions survive careful editing, and which ones only sounded clever inside your own head. Sometimes I finish a script convinced that I have something important to say. After reading it aloud, I quietly delete half of it. Not because someone criticized me, because I finally criticized myself. There's something surprisingly healthy about that process. You become both the creator and the first skeptical viewer. Would I still like more subscribers? Of course, I'm not pretending otherwise. Encouraging comments are enjoyable. Growing numbers are exciting. Knowing that someone somewhere found my work worthwhile is a wonderful feeling. But I have become slightly suspicious of making those numbers the entire purpose. Because numbers can tell us how many people clicked. They cannot tell how carefully I thought. They cannot tell whether I learned something while making the video. They cannot tell whether I became a little more patient, a little more precise, or a little more willing to question my own opinions. There are no analytics for that. Perhaps that is why so many people give up. If success is measured only by visible numbers, then most creators appear to be failing. But what if some of them are quietly succeeding in ways nobody can measure? What if someone with only a couple of subscribers has become a far better writer, a calmer speaker, a more thoughtful person? Would that really count for nothing? I don't think so. How about you? I have noticed that the most valuable changes often happen somewhere else, with hardly anyone noticing. I still watch videos about YouTube. Many of them are entertaining and useful. Some have taught me things I genuinely appreciate. But I have stopped believing that growth is the only story worth telling. Sometimes the real story is the invisible creator sitting quietly in front of a screen at home, writing, rewriting, deleting, starting again. Not because success is guaranteed, but because making something carefully is already changing the person making it. And if, one day, The views arrive as well. I certainly wouldn't complain.